Welcome to episode 6 of Conversations with the Hoff.
Yay!
Yeah, per our last episode, I still have Trip Detmering, the executive director of Liberty Crack Media, and Randy Oporowski in the studio with me. And we're going to continue our road trip. Now we're headed off to Chicago. Actually, we just arrived in Chicago. And
the home of the Bears. Boo. Go, Pack, go.
We're going to talk about Chicago because, remember, as a libertarian, I believe in limited government, individual and economic freedom. Well, you can't talk about Chicago without talking about the foundations of economic freedom. Basically, the Chicago School of Economics. What do we know about the Chicago School of Economics?
You tell us. I know nothing. Nothing.
The Chicago School of Economics was one of the first institutions in the U.S. that was known for promoting free market principles, monetarism, rational expectations, and minimal government interference. And now, what the heck is monetarism? We can't talk about that school without talking about Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman believed in economic freedom. Mm-hmm. He believed in limited government interference in the marketplace, but he was also a monetarist, where he believed that the government had a role of controlling inflation. Mm-hmm. And, of course, a lot of people would argue that our current Federal Reserve has really not done a good job of that. Yeah, they've controlled inflation. They made it go higher. And by doing so, our currency over the years is worth less and less and less. So, yes, the Chicago School of Economics was a major influence in free market economics, but I really don't like the monetary part of it. I think that detracts from the success of their economic policy.
Yeah, and we want people to know that since we traveled there, when we're talking about Friedman, we're not talking again in the 1800s. We're talking now. We're in the
mid-20th century.
Yeah, the last century.
And of course, you can't talk about the Chicago School of Economics without talking about Milton Friedman. So, who was Milton Friedman?
Milton Friedman is mostly known for being a classical liberal political writer and largely incorporating neoclassical economics in his criticisms, like Capitalism and Freedom, going through U.S. history. The monetarist school is kind of the flip side to the Keynesian school, and there's some issues there. And Hayek, who was also at the Chicago School.
Just like Thomas Jefferson had slaves.
Yeah, exactly.
Milton Friedman endorses monetarism. You can't have it all. Yeah.
But Milton Friedman was probably one of the most famous classical liberal thinkers of the 20th century.
Yeah. And yet you would hear a lot of the pundits on some of these shows today talk to him about his conservatism, which is ironic.
He was an explicit libertarian. He was actually very hardcore in many ways, especially from conservatives who quote him quite a bit. He was very aggressive on drug legalization, but he was also a hardcore capitalist.
Yep.
And he criticized price controls and rent controls and the state in general.
And I think you touched on it when you said he's a hardcore capitalist, because right now I think the left-right conservative liberal is socialism, Marxism to capitalism and free market capitalism.
Not only was he one of the most influential economists in the 20th century, in 1976, he received the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. Oh. He was a Nobel Prize winner. Now, a lot of people know him because of his book,
Capitalism and Freedom.
Freedom to Choose?
Oh, Freedom to Choose.
Freedom to Choose.
He has many.
Now, the other one is very important. But the popular book that most people read was Freedom to Choose, written by him and his wife, Rose. And not only was it a book, but it was a long-standing TV series where you could listen to Milton and his wife talk about free market economics.
Yeah,
Right on
it
the
had
TV?
nothing to do with abortion. So, yeah.
No. Tell me a channel today that you can turn to and listen to free market economics.
Liberty Crack Media.
Well, there you go. But not on regular TV.
True.
We've definitely lost our way.
Yeah.
You can hear about all of the glories and the wonderful things that you get from socialism, but you're not going to hear a lot on regular TV about the wonders of capitalism or free market economics.
True. I mean, and thank goodness we do have the alternative universe for information, so you can go to, like FEE.org and Mises and all these different things that will really open the eyes to people, even to explore Austrian economics and the history of that.
Austrian economics, we're going to talk about that.
Are we?
So, yes, there was the Chicago School of Economics, but the people in this room were Mises people.
Yep.
We're Austrian economics people.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the Chicago School of Economics and Austrian economics?
Their accent.
That's one.
Jawohl.
The Austrian school came from Karl Menger in Austria in the 1870s, right as the marginalist revolution was happening, which is interesting. It dovetailed right off of Karl Marx writing his 3 volumes of Capital, Das Kapital,
yeah.
which was based on the labor theory of value. Like a Jenga tower, you take out the labor theory of value, and the whole theory collapses, surplus value, everything else just completely collapses.
Yeah.
And Karl Menger was one of the main proponents of the marginalist revolution, which basically supply and demand creates value, not labor.
Which I would think, I wonder what would happen if Marx was reincarnated today and they said, okay, explain your theory based on AI.
Well, Karl Marx was a very stubborn, tyrannical, authoritarian person.
And lazy.
And very lazy, and he took advantage of the benefactors around him, like Engels.
Yep.
And was very abusive to people in his private life.
Yeah.
But it's one of the ironies of history that a half-century development of marginal theory culminated right at the end of his career when he spent a life on it.
Karl Marx was in dire need of psychoanalysis. He was driven by hate and jealousy.
Jealousy, class.
So we can bring in Freud. It seems like all these guys have German accents.
But getting back to Austrian economics, it was founded by Karl Menger, Ludwig von Mises, and Friedrich Hayek. They're the major contributors to Austrian economics. And there was the major difference of Austrian economics versus the Chicago School of Economics. If you had Milton Friedman come up and give a lecture, he'd be pulling out all these charts and graphs and statistics and everything and showing you, here's where we are and here's where the chart says we're going to go and recent polls and stuff, blah, 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 where the methodology for Austrian economics is human action.
Yeah.
The customer is the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The customer, the customer is the one who determines what's going to happen in the marketplace. And if you want to know everything about Austrian economics, all you have to do is read Ludwig von Mises' Human Action.
Oh, yeah.
It's an easy read. It's only 4 volumes, 1,180 pages.
I mean, he introduces the praxis, the praxeology of economy as opposed to the engine of economy. You know?
Well, and one of his famous lines in Human Action is basically, we just said, the consumer is boss.
Yeah.
When people criticize corporations and even things like Walmart, consumers are who control the economy. If consumers went to mom and pop shops and not to Walmart, Walmart would collapse.
Yeah.
That was one of Mises's points.
One of the things I think that really won it over for me in arguments in talking about the Austrian theory is the success of a pet rock.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that other theory can explain the success of it.
That's interesting, yeah.
Unfortunately, the Chicago School of Economics was a dominant player in U.S. policy during the 20th century.
Yeah.
It's only now that people are waking up and learning about the Austrian School of Economics.
Well, that's good. And it's because of the failure of what's been going on. Yeah.
Well, and the Chicago School is influenced by neoclassical economics and Keynesianism. It's basically a reverse version of Keynesianism, where the Austrian school is it starts with psychology and axioms and praxeology and works up logically.
Yeah.
Where the monetarist school is based off of neoclassical modern economics. And
I think Hayek hit it on the head when he said in one of his famous speeches that Keynes really capitalized on the political aspect of his theory than on the practical end of it.
And it's also big government economics also.
Well, that's what he meant by the practicing or preying upon the giving an excuse for big government. Yeah.
Keynesianism is basically under consumptionist theory, and that justifies endless spending and debt. And Keynes, in his preface to the German edition of The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money, his most famous book, said when the Nazis were in control in Germany, he said, it is so much easier to implement my policies in a totalitarian state than it is in free liberal democracies.
Which is almost what Obama had stated in his jealousy of what they could do in China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Control of monetary expediencies.
Okay, now that we've badmouthed the Chicago School of Economics, let me talk about one of their major successes. Who were the Chicago boys, and where did they have a tremendous amount of success in turning a country's economy around?
Soldier Field, 1986. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like when I was working the ticket booth for the Atlanta Olympics, I had a phone call from a guy from New Mexico. He said, well, I need a passport.
Yes, to come into the country of Georgia. You need to.
Indubitably. Okay, the Chicago boys were a group of Chilean economists trained at the University of Chicago in the 1950s and 60s. And they implemented Milton Friedman's strategies in Chile, unfortunately, under the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet.
Pinochet.
Yeah, not Pinochet. But
Freudian slip there.
Now, they were so successful that the Chilean economy, the GDP, rose from $14 billion in 1977 to $247 billion in 2017. They implemented policies such as privatization of state enterprises, trade liberalization by removing tariffs, hello, Orange Man, and opening markets. They deregulated industries, and they privatized the pension system.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the money that would be available for us to grow our economy if we privatized Social Security?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did all these things, and they were successful.
I was just going to say something else, too. I wanted to say congratulations to H.A. Cast. Fairly, I guess they consider him, the Trump of Chile, for his outstanding win in taking over the country.
Oh, so they're going back to
They're
more of freedom.
Yeah, more South America is going capitalist and
Argentina
and
is
to
famous,
and to protecting their nations.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So we can see that free market economics, giving freedom a chance, telling government to back off from the economy and let us work the wonders of economic freedom, that's the way for any nation to move towards peace and prosperity. And that is going to bring us to our next destination.
No.
No, not yet.
And where is this, Hoff?
We're now off to Silicon Valley.
Ah.
So let me have a break here while I fill up the car and add about a case of oil to the to it, and
All righty.
we'll meet up again in Silicon Valley.
5, 4.
Okay, thanks for waiting. We've now arrived in Silicon Valley.
Whew, is it hot?
We talk about limited government, individual, and economic freedom. Well, Silicon Valley is definitely the epitome of that, because the culture of Silicon Valley was created because of the concepts of individual freedom, entrepreneurial risk-taking, and economic liberalism. Now, yes, initially, some of these companies did receive a certain amount of government funding. So here again, it's an instance where my principles kind of run under the brick wall of realism. You have to accept the fact, well, it's limited government, right?
Uh-huh.
They played a minimal role in getting some of these companies started. But what are some of the companies that we know about that came out of Silicon Valley?
Early Hewlett-Packard started in Silicon Valley. You have probably most of the large NASDAQ tech companies are in Silicon, like Google and
Some of the
Meta.
financial PayPal and
PayPal.
Yeah, because of the freedom and the innovative culture that was allowed to exist in Silicon Valley, they basically changed and reshaped how the world works.
I saw researching this, the dean of Stanford University made it a policy in the 1930s to incentivize students starting companies there.
Uh-huh.
And they would also lease land to startup companies almost a century ago.
So that's really where the roots of it started for Silicon Valley. Okay. It had nothing to do with the silica.
And the person you're probably talking about is Frederick Terman.
Yep.
He was a Stanford professor, and he's actually called the father of Silicon Valley.
Okay.
But if you look at industries today that didn't exist when I was born, you've got the semiconductor industry, and Intel's a big player in that.
And the automobile industry.
Well, I think I had an old Hudson. My father had a Hudson back in the 1940s, so that might have been around for a while.
The toothpick industry.
Personal computers. I mean, today, I think everybody has a computer, or if not, they got a cell phone that's got might want to call it a computer. Anyway.
That's exactly what it is. A
And
little
it's not
computer.
just governments that have this; everybody does.
The whole history from transistor to integrated circuit to personal computers, the whole tech industry is basically spawned from Silicon Valley.
And do you remember those cartoons that they had with the Dick Tracy and his watch and communications and stuff like that? And that's a reality today. And I mean, wow, what a thing going from the 30s to today to have that going on.
I looked the other day, per capita GDP, Silicon Valley is richer per capita than New York City or Tokyo or any other city on earth.
Wow.
Peace and prosperity through individual and economic freedom. There it is.
I wonder how long the government of California can let that last
Yeah, we'll
before
see.
chasing them out.
It'll be
Will the
Texas.
last person leaving California please turn off the lights?
I think the brownouts have already taken care of that. Yeah.
So Silicon Valley, because of Silicon Valley, we also have the internet. I mean, the internet makes me the master of the world.
Yeah.
Not like Seinfeld, not just the master of my own domain,
Yeah.
but the master of the world. I can get on the internet and access anywhere. I can be a genius on the internet and not just the typical Minnesota farm boy. You know what I mean?
That's right. We can access our porn right from our
Right from our
living
phones.
room. Yeah.
and
internet's
and they
probably-
changed the way we communicate. I have, believe it or not, this old guy has 3,000 friends. What? Yeah, on Facebook. Social media.
I was trying to think of 3 that you have locally.
It's a new form of communication.
Oh, I thought that's just in the Moose Lodge you had 3,000 friends.
I probably have 2 there.
The internet is probably the most significant event in technology of the 20th century.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
More than the moon landing, more than transistors.
That's why I just can't. I just can't imagine what's going to happen now with this AI stuff. Really.
The internet has brought economic freedom to places in sub-Saharan Africa, places that are just
Undeveloped.
the epitome of poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A young entrepreneur can get on his computer in his shack or in his hut and start his own business and start making money without the approval of the government, without asking the government for any assistance.
This is capitalism, globalism,
Right.
Capitalism. Yeah.
It has expanded economic freedom across the globe.
This has
Not
got
just
to
in the US.
terrify the Marxists.
Oh, yeah. Look at the expansion of libertarianism over the past 20 years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The internet is unbelievable. And generative AI magnified it again.
Yeah.
It's probably as significant or more significant than it was in the 90s with the expansion of the internet.
And you can't talk about innovation in Silicon Valley without talking about Elon Musk. NASA has a little bit of difficulty and with great expense to launch spaceships up into space.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Elon Musk with SpaceX is doing it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And not only is that spaceship going up into space, but it's coming back and he's catching it again to use it again.
Yeah.
You think NASA could ever do that?
No, and the Chinese are absolutely scratching their heads because they would love to do that and they can't
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
NASA is one of the most wasteful government divisions in all of the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
They spend money so out of proportion to what they actually produce. It's mind-boggling.
Oh.
And Elon Musk is doing it solely on private investment.
Right.
And then in the drive to when they were starting to go into the idea of kind of doging themselves, instead they got the Obama administration who stripped them of that doging themselves and wanted to make it DEI.
Yeah,
And
there shows
bring
the
in
priority.
more Muslim astronauts or something. It was crazy.
The market gives you incentives, and you have to adapt to the incentives, and you don't get to play abstract games like that.
Hey, Randy, you didn't build that.
Okay, also, Tesla started in Silicon Valley. Yes, with some initial government loan, which Elon Musk paid back. Now, I listen to the Business Channel every day, and people are a little bit concerned about Tesla, but they don't have to be. Elon Musk is an innovator. He's going to turn that company from an EV company,
To a robot company.
robotics company,
Yeah.
right? That's what innovation is all about.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible. You know, you make adjustments, and that's what freedom allows. So
Well, that ties into Austrian economics we just talked about too, with consumer as boss.
Yeah.
If he makes the wrong decisions, they will penalize him. So he has to adapt and be quick on his feet and listen to market signals, which the government does not have to do.
But if you look at Elon's early, I guess, script for Tesla, this was his idea. Robotics was his idea all along. It was the cars were just a instrument on getting his way there with being able to create these robotic manufacturing plants.
That's interesting.
When you don't live from day to day on the dole by handouts from the federal government,
Hey, come on, I'm sitting right here.
when you're an innovator and you believe in an individual and economic freedom, wonderful things can happen.
Yeah.
Elon Musk today is worth over $600 billion, and he will be the world's first trillionaire. That's the power of limited government, individual and economic freedom.
And yet he's still trying to scale down in his housing.
Yeah, look what he did with Doge
Yep.
until Orange Man said, enough is enough. Okay, so that's the role that Silicon Valley has played in making America free again, and hopefully directing us to a future of peace and prosperity. And now we're going to head back to New York State to the Statue of Liberty.
4.
Thanks for waiting, audience. Yeah, the old Hoffmobile made it all the way across the country, and we're now standing at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. And before we get into the significance of the Statue of Liberty, how did it get there? Who made it? Who designed it?
It was done by elves.
Santa Claus was there, yeah.
That's right. The little people. No, I think the frogs sent it over to us.
The statue was actually designed by a Frenchman. Well, it was given to us by the French, right? So
Frogs.
obviously it's going to be Frenchmen that were behind it. And the designer was Frederic Auguste Bartholdi. I can't even pronounce it. Bartholdi.
Yep.
He was a designer of the Statue of Liberty. And he had a vision that this statue would be liberty enlightening the world. And it would be a colossal neoclassic figure inspired by the Roman goddess Libertas.
Oh.
Interesting.
There.
He must have been a libertarian. If he's French, he's probably a closet libertarian.
That's right. Married.
But Bartholdi, he actually oversaw the construction of the statue in France before it was shipped to the United States. Now, who actually was the engineer who had made sure that the internal structure was sufficient to hold the Statue of Liberty?
It wasn't Elon Musk.
This is a famous guy.
Ah,
When I say the name, you're going to say, oh, yeah, that guy.
okay.
I know him. I know a guy.
I just looked this up because I just went to New York City.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us.
Gustav Eiffel
Gustav Eiffel, right.
of the Eiffel Tower fame.
The Eiffel Tower.
Oh, I guess Fernando Pisa wasn't available.
So the vision for this whole project, though, was not the other two French guys I talked about.
I should force them to say their names. Just say their first names, Gustav and
Frederic and Gustav.
No.
But Edouard René de Rambouillet. Why don't they speak English?
This is why the French hate Americans.
Married. Yeah.
He was the guy that had the vision for the Statue of Liberty. He wanted to commemorate the centennial of U.S. independence and celebrate our country's dedication to freedom and also to the abolition of slavery.
Ah.
Ta-da. So the Statue of Liberty is basically a symbol for the world that this is a different country. We're unique. We actually believe in freedom. Come on and join us. You can have freedom too.
Yeah.
We were the first nation in the world to actually have founding documents, have people, places, and things that supported limited government, individual liberty and economic freedom. And what I'd like to do in closing this episode is read a speech that I plagiarized from my friend, Mr. AI. Mr. AI and I, we do a lot of work together. He's a good friend of mine. And he wrote this to me, and I think it'll give you a good idea of why I am on the air to begin with. Dear listeners, when the United States declared its independence in 1776, it did more than break away from a distant king. It proclaimed a daring idea that liberty is not a privilege granted to us by rulers, but a right endowed to us by our Creator. That conviction became the heartbeat of a new nation, a nation that sought to define itself not by conquest or wealth, but by freedom. A century later, France honored that bold experiment with a gift, the Statue of Liberty. Rising above the New York harbor, she holds her torch high, a beacon to the world. In her left hand rests a tablet inscribed with the date of our founding, July 4th, 1776. A reminder that liberty was and must remain the cornerstone of our identity. For millions of immigrants, weary from long journeys and hardship, the sight of the Statue of Liberty was more than just a stone and copper object. It was a promise that here in America they could breathe freely. Emma Lazarus captured this spirit in her immortal words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." But let us be honest, liberty in America has never been perfect, and it has never been complete. At times, liberty has been denied, restricted, or unevenly shared. Yet the statue stands through wars, struggles, reckonings, reminding us what we aspire to be. Her torch is not only a symbol of what we have achieved, but it's also a call to action, urging us to live up to those ideals that we profess. Today, as we look upon her, we are reminded that liberty is not a relic of the past, even though our college professors would say so. It is a living principle, one that demands vigilance, courage, and renewal. The United States was once a nation committed to liberty, and if we choose, it can be again. So let us recommit ourselves to that founding promise. Let us ensure that the torch of liberty does not dim, but shines even brighter, lighting the way for future generations to come. Thank you for listening to Conversations with the Hoff. And now back to our glorious leader, Trip Detmering.
And from Randy, the Hoff, and I, we're going to wish everybody a glorious and happy new year. We'll see you in 2026 for more Conversations with the Hoff.
with room to rise and space to chase.